Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today is March 1st. The first seeds that I direct sow are typically radishes, spinach, and peas. These are from the Bentley Seed Company. I highly recommend checking them out. I will put their information in the video description. I got to meet them. I love their company, love the people there. They have a great selection. So when you're starting direct seeding here on the East Coast, it's going to be cold. Soil often stays damp and wet, and that's the whole key to success. You don't need to really set this up with any kind of fertilizer right now. Whatever you did back in the fall is fine. We can feed these later. The whole key to successful seed starting early here on the East Coast, when it's still cold, we can just still get some freezing nights, is you want just a nice, loose soil. It can be whatever you want. There's 1,000 ways to prep it. Just make sure it's loose, because when we're done, we're going to water this in just once, and then we're going to let these go for a good week, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks before we water again. There's plenty of moisture in there. You don't want to oversaturate and keep these seeds wet when the temperatures at night are getting into the lower 30s. Sometimes the days aren't getting up into the 40s or 50s. You don't want these to be soaking wet. Hope that makes sense. That's just the #1 tip. That's what I recommend. Don't worry about the fertilizers or anything right now. Whatever you did in the fall is fine. And then we can always feed these later with a water-soluble fish fertilizer or organic fertilizer. So I'd like to just set up finger holes. These are about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep. You don't need to overstress about that. I want to cut in and just say you don't have to be super precise when you're planting seeds. When they fall from the plant in nature, they just fall on top of each other. So I know that 2 of my fingers is about 1.5 inches. 4 of my fingers is really about 3.5 inches, and that's kind of what I use to measure. Remember, 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeters. So when I'm setting up something, maybe I'm thinking 4 inches, and I'll just go 1, 2, 4 fingers fit in there, and it could be 3.5, 4 inches, and I just kind of set up the spinach holes just like that. Again, I would use 4 fingers. When I'm doing the radishes, I'm using 2 fingers, 1, 2, that's 1.5 inches or so. That's all you really need to do. And then you just quickly set the holes up like that, and then you drop the seeds in, you're good to go. So I put about 1 to 2 inches between the holes that I use for my radishes, and I just poke my finger in there, set up the holes, and then I come through. I already dropped in the radishes, and you're just going to drop in 1 or 2 seeds. These are French breakfast. Once they germinate, they're ready in as little as 25 days. So 1 or 2 radish seeds in, just cover it over, and my radishes are planted. This is the first sowing of radishes. You don't want to put down 1,000 of them, because they're all going to come up at the same time, and you're going to have to eat them all at once. So I'll do some now, some in a week, some in 2 weeks, some in 3 weeks. You get the idea. And that's a succession planting. This way I get a continuous supply of radishes as they're going on. When I come to the spinach, spinach can take 70 days to mature. That does take a while, but I eat this as baby spinach. So this is about 4 inches from here to here, or I just basically do 4 fingers. This one holds a little bit closer to 1/2 inch deep. Don't overstress again about that. 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. So I put the holes in, and then I already put in 2 spinach seeds. Well, that one has 3 right in there. I'm again 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows, 4 rows of spinach. This will be a great start. Just cover it over. Again, we'll water it in at the end. Now for my peas, this is about 2 inches. Either way, it could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. You can really pack your peas in closely together. And you want these to go down 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep. So I just set them up, I push them down, pretty far. And that's how I set up my peas. So I have 3 rows here. I'm going to put a bigger space in here, and I'm going to put some more peas down there. And that's all I'm going to do. So I have got my peas, my spinach, my radishes set up just that quick. I'm also going to show you how I'm going to use this chicken wire to support the growth of the peas, and then we'll talk a little bit more about just getting these set up. Again, I want to stress, do not overwater, and keep your seeds that you direct sow early in the spring, later in the winter in the East Coast. If you do that, there's a good chance they're going to rot. You water them, you let them go. I just wanted to add that the group of peas right here are shelling peas. These are peas that you grow to full size, you take them out of the pods, you don't eat the pods, you eat the peas. They're called shelling peas. So I did 4 rows of those. And then these are snow peas, which are those peas that stay flat. Sometimes you see them in Chinese food. These mature a little bit faster, so I like to mix up shelling peas, snow peas, the flat peas, and then you also have sugar snap or snap peas, which I'll be planting later, where you can eat the pods. So there's basically 3 types of peas, you know, generally speaking. And again, I just push these down 1 inch. Once they're in the ground, I just cover them over, you know. Really took me, maybe, including kind of fluffing up the soil and adding some of my stuff, maybe start to finish to do all this, 45 minutes. Okay, so everything is planted. March 1st, whole key is loose soil. Now let's talk about radishes. Radishes don't need a lot of fertilizer, so they're going to do fine with whatever soil you have from last year. In fact, if you give them too much nitrogen, sometimes they get too leafy, so I'm not even worried about those. I love radishes because they do well in the cold weather. They sprout pretty quickly. If it's getting up to the 50s or 60s for a couple of days, they're going to sprout, they're going to take off. Spinach, I just like the thickness of the leaf, the taste of the leaf. They do extremely well in cold weather. In fact, I've had spinach that I planted back in November, December, survives through freezing temperatures in the low teens here, and it's still alive in other parts of my garden. So it's a very, very hardy green. I like it. When you get to the peas, peas are hollow stemmed. You're going to need some sort of trellis for them. So you can just drop in some bamboo posts, some tree branches, something like this. They typically grow somewhere between 2 and 4 feet. And you want to put in enough posts so that the peas can kind of connect to each other with their tendrils, hang onto the posts, and when the wind comes, it's not snapping the peas over. Again, they're hollow stemmed. This is something I make out of chicken wire. I will link the video that shows you how to make this. I make these in 4 feet, 6 feet, basically trellises, and they're really handy for all kinds of different crops. So the watering. This is the whole key. It is March 1st. You're just giving them enough water now so that the seed itself swells and germination can begin. When the roots begin to establish in your seeds, they go straight down. So they're going down to where there's plenty of moisture to support these seeds, basically, that I'm direct sowing now. You only have to do this really 1 time for 2 or 3 weeks. If you get crazy hot weather and it seems like it's drying up, please go ahead and water. But you don't need to be coming out here once a week, twice a week, and watering your seeds. Just 1 time in March. You don't want this to stay wet like this, because I guarantee your peas are going to rot. For the pea plants on the first watering, make sure you give them enough, because they're bigger seeds, and you just want them to absorb the water, and this way they'll swell and they're going to start to germinate. That's all you have to do. This is why I love these 3 varieties: radishes, spinach, peas, as my first seeds that I direct sow. Thanks for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and if you can't find what you want there, please check out bentleyseeds.com. Again, thanks for watching. Try and get some seeds out now. Even if they take a little bit, once that weather warms up, they're going to take off, and these will be the first radishes, spinach, greens, and peas that you take to the table as you're establishing your spring garden. Thanks for watching.